We appreciate y'all waiting for us, good people. Coco, there she go.
Hey,
There she go.
I'm
We
excited.
see we see you, lavish salon. My guy, styled by Mark. Look, everybody was waiting. They was patiently waiting. We appreciate y'all, but we got Coco here, fresh off the jet, just getting here. Where was you vacationing at?
In Cancun, they're open. Mexico.
Okay, okay, and it's beautiful over there, isn't it?
I, I ain't want to come back. I actually extended an extra day, but yeah,
Okay, all right, all right. Well, I'm definitely glad that you made it home safe. You got to go enjoy yourself. I'm sure it was well needed.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, so you had a good time though. Was it more business or was it pleasure?
No, it was definitely for pleasure. So I just ended my 5 week series called The Foundation, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, like, you want to go to Mexico?" And I'm like, "If they let us in, I'm with it." So I had a spa appointment yesterday, and so I ended up canceling that. Just making time and making room. So I mean, feel good. I haven't usually I travel once a month, so I haven't been out the country since Thanksgiving. Um,
Okay,
and it's been a long time. I definitely needed that.
definitely. Well, that's dope, man. So I want to definitely talk about your traveling
Yep.
because I feel like real estate has allotted you the opportunity to travel. You know, that's one of the benefits. Work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
But let's just start with if you could just introduce yourself and let the people know who you are. Let them know. I mean, I heard the story from
Mhm.
North Philly. You know, born and raised and making it happen. So go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. So hello everyone. My name is Coco Kearns, or at least that's what I go by. About my first name for a lot of reasons, but yeah. So anyway, yes, grew up from Philly native. Actually grew up on 32nd and Diamond. I went to Strawberry Mansion for high school, and literally, in my neighborhood, there was nothing that was necessarily anything positive to look forward to. I will say, we built community in which the way we knew, but everybody was struggling. All of my friends' parents who I grew up with, my mom, both my mom and my dad was on drugs. And so that right there was, a hurdle and a struggle in itself. And so moving forward, I'm like, all right, my environment taught me everything I didn't want to do and or be. So I'm like, well, the American dream is to go to college, get a job, and you can change the world and change your life. And so that was my mindset. I had to figure out what I needed to do for Coco and how Coco was going to defy the odds and make sure that she was good. So I graduated from Strawberry Mansion 2011. From there, went to Clark Atlanta. I was at CAU for 4 years, graduated with my master's, and then, oh yeah, I joined my sorority, Psi Lambda,
Go
Sigma.
ahead, shout them out. Shout them out.
Yes. Shout out to the 39, my line sisters, Spring 14. So literally, after I graduated, the plan was to go to law school. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm not even going to lie to you. I was so stressed out. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I was like, well, just come back home and teach. I applied for Teach for America. Cool. That happened. But I told Teach for America that the only way that I would teach and work for them is if they placed me in Philadelphia. And so it happened. They placed me home. My first official teaching job, I taught 10th grade literature summer school at Kip Du Bois. And so from there, I came home. The prices of houses was crazy. Like the same Section 8 that I grew up in is now
Mm-hmm.
worth $1 million.
Right.
I'm like, wait, what? And this was 2015 when I got back to Philly. So I moved out of my mom's place and moved with two other teachers. Cool. We stayed in a condo for 3 years. Our rent was $2,000, but we was living literally like smack dead across the street from the projects, which I didn't necessarily have a problem with that. But my issue came with me paying $2,000. Like that was insane. So I'm like, okay, all these people on my timeline, Instagram's popping, all that. Gentrification is going crazy. So I'm like, all right, what's happening? So this lady who I know, she actually watched me grow up. And she was like, wait, um, what was she posting? She's a realtor, so she was legit posting like, own what you live in, what you pay in mortgage. You probably pay more in rent than what you pay in mortgage.
Paying the mortgage, right?
I was like, okay,
Own where you live.
exactly. So I reached out to her and I'm like, hey, yes, like, what's up? And so we're talking. I literally went to go see over 30 houses.
Okay.
And I was tired of looking. I was also scared and nervous. Anytime I put in an offer and she called me, I was like, oh my God, like I wouldn't answer the phone. I would like call her back. I was so scared because no one in my family owned. And still they don't own. You know, I'm the only homeowner in my family on both sides of my family. My mom.
Are you
my
the first college graduate as well?
In my immediate family, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
So you talk about breaking that cycle and being the first one to take these new journeys where you're exploring it kind of with your eyes blind, well, kind of with the blinders on, because you don't have nobody in your immediate circle to reach out and talk to.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. Like everybody who was there for me, whether they knew the struggle and or not, was educators. It was nobody who was necessarily related to me, which I kind of, so when we talk about, or when I hear people talk about family, and the importance of family, I'm like, that looks different. Not that my family is not important, but the people who really stepped up and went above and beyond aren't related to me by blood.
Right.
And so I was just out here figuring it out. So I was like, all right, cool. I joined my sorority. That's dope. You know, I learned so many things in my sorority. I have connections to so many people, so many places. I actually got into 4 law schools because of my sorority. So my decision to not go was on me. So boom, I found the house that I'm living in now. This was the last house I seen. I was like, I'm overseeing property. Let's
do it. Let's get it done with.
I'm drained. So anyway, I was like, all right, you know, I like it. It's big. Let me go ahead and put in an offer. They accepted the offer. Then I started doing work on the house, but while I was living in it. So I would tell everybody, oh my God, like I live in an abandoned house. And they're like, girl, shut up. No, you don't. I'm like, no, my house is abandoned. It was legit. It was moving ready, but I started tearing down walls. I didn't have a kitchen for about 3 months. So I was like deep in it. I was like, wow, this is different. Then, so that was 2017. 2019 come, and I made, you know, a goal. I said, listen, you know, I've traveled all over the world. My goal is 30 countries by 30. I'm at 26 countries, and I literally
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just turned 27 in May. So I was like, all right, you know, you travel everywhere. That's the only experience I haven't had just yet was living in another country. So my plan was to, you know, go overseas and teach. So I was like, well, if you don't go overseas and teach, then guess what? You have to buy another property. That's the only way you can stay here in the United States, especially Philadelphia. And so I get on Twitter. I start talking to this one guy who I went to undergrad with. And from Baltimore, we went to Clark Atlanta together, and he was talking about property. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, what's going on in the Baltimore market? And so he was like, oh, check out this auction. So I said, okay, cool. He was like, look, we can go down there together. We can see the properties. We can do all this. We can do all that. So we making all these plans. We actually had a date and everything to go down there. Now, I was at work bored. Like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I need to figure it out. And so I just hopped on the auction. I started bidding. And I was bidding on 3 properties. I didn't even know what I was doing. And I won one of them, and I was like, wait, oh my God, like I just bought a house for $4,500. I'm in Philly. I don't even know.
Wait, so that was $4,500 in Baltimore.
$4,500 in Baltimore.
Okay. What? So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. So that house, while it was on an auction for $4,500, after I did closing, paid the auction fee, it came up to $7,129.
Right.
Again, I didn't know nothing about this house. I didn't know. I was bitten blind. I didn't look up the neighborhood, no nothing. I'm just like, look, I'm going to do it. Which all my friends say, like, you're crazy. You're the risk taker. Like, I do the craziest things when I travel, whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's fine. So I probably went to go see the house maybe 3 weeks later because I had a trip planned in between.
Okay.
Went to go see the house. I was like, oh, wow, it's right here. A hospital on the corner. You know, University of Maryland, Baltimore is right here. All these things in the area. So now I'm doing my research on the house. The house was worth $47,000. And So I could have sold it for the 47 and, you know, made a quick $40,000. So I was like, do I want to do that? Then I was like, nah, I already know what I know about comps and, you know, specific things in the area around property. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Do you know 2 months later, the hospital started buying up houses on that same block. And so what a hospital is buying up houses on the same block, they start knocking those houses down. So I reached out to the hospital, hey, I want to know what y'all doing, what's going on. You know, they're changing the community. So they was like, yeah, well, we're planning to build. So I'm like, well, what are you planning to build? I started talking to the contractors, networking with them, all that. And so one of the contractors was like, don't sell. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sell. You know, I want to hold this. I want to rent it out. You know, this need to be income for me, not something I don't want a quick flip. So they was like, yeah, because you already know what they about to do. The same thing they did in Philly with the 3 stories and 4 stories that look.
All the new construction, right?
Yes, all new construction. So now I didn't spend a total of $7,000. Could have made a quick $40,000 if I went and sold. Now, just with my property just sitting there and they, you know, doing what they're doing, it's probably going to be worth $250,000.
Okay, all right, super offer. Online auction for $7 grand.
Auction. And so that's the first property that I got on the auction.
Before, don't use going right. Tell them about the other one.
Yes.
So, all right, so before you jump in there,
Okay.
right? Let me jump in with you, right? So I got some questions for you because you said a lot, and I just want to go back. So like when we talk about where we come from and not having things in our immediate circle, I think for you to be so young, not that I'm old, but for you to be a little younger than me, right? So I'm saying the fact that, hey, you didn't have those things around you. And we talked about this last week with Herman, like growing up where we grow up and in our circles, like it's easy for me to go down the street and say, yo, can I get a bag of weed? Can I get X, Y, Z? Can you tell me about some stuff that's not going to benefit me or my future? But you figured out a way, like you said, in regards to networking, that you now went to college, you were open to talking to people, you joined your sorority, and you didn't get into just one law school, you got into 4.
Yes.
And then from there, just thinking about your network and how you used that to expand. So can you just touch on how you got over the fear of reaching out to people and even asking for help? Because I'm assuming you asked for help.
Yeah, and so honestly, that's the part that was a little hard, the asking for help piece for me. But it came about like this. I was always, anybody who know me, went to high school with me or taught me, I was always a leader. I was the kid, if I think the uniform should be changed, I'm changing the uniform.
We're going to talk about it.
Like, you know, and some people would call me like, oh, she was the teacher's pet or whatever. No, I was the principal's pet. Like my principal would call me over the loudspeaker, little Miss Coco, come to the main office. And some of my teachers was literally like upset and didn't like me. My first job was at the school district of Philadelphia. So I would walk in my high school with my school district of Philadelphia badge and they hated it. And I was like, oh, like we get paid today. So
right, you low key flex on them.
Right, flexing. You know, so for me, it was more so, listen, let me go ahead and the networking piece. Let me go ahead and talk to the people that I need to talk to so I can get where I need to go. Right. Because I was sick. Like I was really upset about not going to the high school of my choice. I didn't want to go to Strawberry Mansion. That was just my neighborhood high school. But I didn't get into any of the schools that I wanted to go to. Gotcha. So when I knew, like, handle your business, do what you got to do. And so my principal and other mentors was like, hey, do you want to go to Central? I can get you in Central. Do you want to go there? And I sat back and I thought about it and I was like, no. And it was like, what do you mean? Well, I'll just become a number at Central. Right. You know, while I'm here at Strawberry Mansion, they have to give scholarships.
Right. So, if you put the work in, now you stand out.
You stand out.
No, no, I just was saying that I think that's super dope because you hear people say it all the time about the inner city schools. And I get it. They are different. They don't have the same opportunities that maybe Central or Friends or one of those schools have. However, if you at least show up, I feel like I see so many kids walking around that don't show up. Yeah. You end up putting yourself in position just to be better, not better, but to get to where you're trying to get to kind Absolutely. Of thing. And that's just with the showing up piece. Yeah. And then you took it a step further and you put yourself in a leadership role, not being scared about your peers, and different things like that. Like you want to fit in with the crowd. Like, no, I want to break away from the crowd. Like we could be cool, but it's a time and place when to be cool.
Exactly. Like I joined student government, and it was like, well, you know, you can't.
I know about the student government. Yep.
Be a sophomore and be, you know, the president. And I'm like, okay. So it was something called citywide representative. So they was like, I think it would be a great citywide representative. So I was like, okay, great. Citywide representative, literally, you had to go, it's student government, but you had to go to the school district and come up with all these plans, meet with all these other high school kids from all these other schools, and you had to fight, literally like fight for rights. Right. And so Dr. Arlene Ackerman, she was the superintendent at the time, and she gave my nonviolence campaign $50,000 to put these things into schools. Okay. And so that was my thing. I'm like, look, I need to go ahead and meet with the real people. Like, it's not about, you know, it's definitely not about, for me, it's not about where you come from. Right. It's where you want to go. And it's who you know at the end of the day. Because I'm telling you, when I graduated from Strawberry Mansion in 2011, and then I graduated from college in 2015, I was the only person from my graduating high school, my graduating class, that graduated from a 4-year college. Right. You know, and I wasn't surprised by that at all, because that's the statistics, that's the demographic. But I think the other issue is that we as a people, we are afraid of our own potential. So we don't try. Anything out of the norm is like, you weird, or you want to do this, or you want to.
Why you say that out loud? Why you say that out loud?
I'm sorry. Somebody, and this is the other thing too, because not every school has great educators. Some of them, I feel like, if anything, what Strawberry Mansion taught me was literally how to survive in life. Mm-hmm. That was
because the people that we would think are supposed to be there to help us and put us in position, like, they just there collecting a check. And not all teachers are like that, or people in leadership. However, though, we know what a lot of people go to their jobs every day and they hate it, and they just, look, put it through. But you didn't let that discourage you. You put yourself like, I see how y'all playing, and now I'm going to make the adjustment. And no matter what, I'm going to keep pushing it, because at the end of the day, I got to push through.
Exactly. And so that was the name of my game. I'm like, look, I already know what it is. My mom,
that's why you went to the school district. Now you connected. I don't even need you.
Because the guy who was working closely with, and I met, actually, he's State Representative Jordan Harris. So I had met Jordan working at the school district. I met Jamira Burley working at the school district while I was, you know, doing student citywide representative, and it was amazing. So just to have those connections, I could pick up the phone and call them right now to this day, you know. So just that piece, that's what it was for me. But I'm gonna tell you what was kind of hard coming from where I come from, or where we come from in Philly, is that it's not the norm. Isn't to talk to people you don't know. Right.
Just the simple, hey, how you? And I just had this conversation with, like, my little sister, and was like, yo, don't be scared to say hi to people, or just, go ahead and let them know who you are. You don't gotta tell them your date of birth and your social, but just that initial greeting.
Exactly. And so that's where it went off for me. And then I had this school counselor. Now, I did have great teachers. I had dope teachers in high school. And so I had this one school counselor, and she was like, oh, you should apply for some program. I'm like, all right, cool, I'll apply for this program. It was called Operation Understanding. So this program is between African-American students and Jewish students, who are typically white. It's literally a group of 16 of us, 8 African-American, 8 Jewish and students. And so the plan was to go to Africa and Israel. Okay. Learn about one another's cultures, all this good stuff. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to apply. Now, I'm the only person from an inner city school applying. Even the black kids were like from a Central or a Masterman. Right. All these Quaker schools or whatever, just really good schools. And so I got into Operation Understanding, and that started the conversation about race. Like, we legit, so we wasn't able to travel overseas, but we traveled within the United States, and literally, like, share one another's experience. So when it came time for me to go to Clark, Atlanta, and even protest or what have you, or just have general conversations, I was never afraid to talk to a white person, you know, about anything, about race, about, you know, how y'all family making money? What y'all doing? You know, like that's what I would ask, and people would be looking at me like, you're just asking that. Yes. Like, what's the difference between you and
No,
I other than your skin complexion?
right. Nah, so I definitely understand that. When I went to Newman University also for early child elementary education, and they sent me to a program called the Leadershape program, and we went to Chicago, Illinois. And when I tell you that when I got there, and like you said, there's only a few of us. Like, and you go to these, start going to these things, there's maybe 3 of us in there, maybe 5, but it's definitely only, you know, black and brown, few minorities, Indian, Hispanic, and
Yeah.
you like listening to the conversations that they're having. Like, I'm talking about this kid, like, yo, my dad's gonna shut down all the Walmarts in our neighborhood because he feels like they're not paying the people enough. I'm like, you could just do that, like. You and your dad. That's just what y'all gonna go do when you get back from this trip. Like, oh
Because
well,
if you
what does your dad do?
right.
Who is your dad? Right.
And that's another. I love quotes. So somebody said to me, "If you don't know your rights, you don't have any." So you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to go, you know, to law school and just fight for the black community and make sure everybody got out of jail. It wasn't about if they were wrong or if they was right. It was what you can prove in court. And
Right.
because of, you know, the lack of knowledge, of course, that's the reason why a lot of people are still where they are, in the positions that they're in. But when I tell you, I feel like everything that I've done in my life
Up
was
to those points.
up to those points
Yeah.
was literally
Is
like check boxes too.
right.
Like, because I done seen a lot, you know, I done been through a whole lot growing up in that community, and still, you know, it is. But I love therapy. And so I swear, I'm telling you, I tell everybody, you just go to therapy. You need somebody to talk to, like, go
No.
ahead.
So
Because
I'm an advocate as well for the therapy. It wasn't
yeah,
until I had my first son. So like I don't go like I'm supposed to go, but now my thing, and you know, you follow other people that are in a position you want to be in. So
yep,
like, you know, you see, oh, Jay-Z's like, yeah, me and Beyonce went to therapy. And then I watched this show Billions. Like he has the therapist in the office.
yeah,
And it helps relieve that pressure of all the things you're talking about to yourself in your head. Or you
yeah,
might even just need to get some stuff off your chest, and you might not want to talk to nobody that you know. So like I'm always an advocate just for males, especially us black males. We might be
yes,
scared to open up to certain people, especially as you get older. Like, yo, your thoughts get even more deeper, or your feelings get, and you like, I don't even know where these feelings came from. I swear, I cry
right.
during cartoons now because of my kids.
See,
You
and
know,
that's
Finding Nemo make me emotional now. I swear to Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse. I cried when the boy uncle died and stuff. Like,
right.
yo, like
But you,
now, so it's like, yo, you need to talk to somebody.
yeah, because all of that stuff has been masked. You don't like. We live in a world where we suppress everything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what we supposed to go through, you know? And so it's like, oh, that whole
Trauma
stereotype,
is the norm, but it's not.
I mean, it's the norm. And it shouldn't be. It should not be. Like, when that shouldn't be normalized. When somebody died, you should be able to grieve and, you know, be fine. And it's not like that. But and that comes from a lot. For me, I think that was another thing, another eye opener, even for my family. Like, what? Therapy? Why would you do
Right? What's
that?
wrong with you? Well,
Exactly. What's
well,
are you suicidal?
ex-cousin Pete, what's wrong with him? Y'all got him sitting in the room, and he don't come out the room.
Listen.
Or such and such. You know, they smoke weed all day.
Yep.
It's different forms of therapy, but there's other outlets that don't necessarily have to be the norm. And
Absolutely.
and then when you look at our family history or just look at the community history, is it
Hmm.
work? The question is that working? When do we try something different that works?
Right. Right. But I think the other part for me, and I have to say this, is because in my mind, you know, growing up, my mom would always say, "What happens in my house stays in my house." And so when they
Mm,
my school, and none of the therapists were black. All of the therapists or the counselors was white. So for me, and I think a lot of people can agree, it's like you talking to the cops. Like, I was saying, like, you
right.
talking to the cops about what's going on, and then what? They come to the house and come get you, and then you know, don't know your family. You're not in connection with them. You lose a lot of things, and now
Right.
what? You know, how did that play out for you? So that's the part I do understand as well. Even
Right.
more so, educator. And when I tell you, like, I'm there for my kids, I am beyond involved. I knew what I needed when I was a child, and my parents wasn't able to provide that.
Right.
Grew up in this world trying to figure it all out on my own, like legit. So, and I always put the pressure on myself. Like, listen, you want to buy a house? Okay, cool. You have to buy a house right now. Like, I literally used to be so impatient and impulsive, and I was like, okay, it's time. Like, you really got to talk to somebody. And I thought my senior year that I was like, I want to try to go to therapy because I think I'm going to fail my LSAT. I went in there and I was crying for 10 whole minutes. And the lady was like, you think you came here for a And I, in my mind, like, yeah, I came here for a test. She's like, no, sis, we got a whole lot to uncover. I was like, oh, okay. But that's the other thing. Like, that's how I don't know. School was my way of out. It kept me busy. I always went to school and I was always
in
involved.
activities. And
even when I got to college, in jobs. So I never had a chance to deal with my real thoughts. Like, I didn't get to know Coco until Coco was 25 years old. I'm 27.
And the crazy thing is Coco is still evolving, and I could see the amazing queen that you are just coming through. And the fact that you're open to even express and talk about it says that, like, yo, you'll be there sooner than you think. Because like I said, I'm 33 and just getting to the point where, like, oh, I can accept these things or talk about these things. So definitely salute to you. Salute to you. If it wasn't for me having kids, I probably wouldn't be that way. Like, I had kids and then realized, like, yo, I'm a little messed up. Like, my way of thinking.
Sometimes that's what.
And it's like, my kids don't do everything I do or how I do. And my wife is like, yo, we gotta figure it out, because just like it might have worked for our parents, but that don't mean it worked for us, kind of thing. Like, we setting a new standard for our family to go,
Which is kind of crazy too, because I find this a lot. Kids who are now adults like yourself, who grew up in whatever kind of situation you grew up in, you never want your kids to experience that. So you literally do all these things to make sure they go to the best schools. They do all these great things, but they don't know survival skills. They just
right.
It's
a gift and curse to the shelter. But however, I will say, like, for me, I got to grow up in the suburbs or Delaware County, but I got to go to school in the city. I got to play sports in the city. So I feel like it's having that balance, and then I got them crazy uncles that, like, I heard my mom coming, I can't be hanging with y'all, so it's like, you just gotta, I guess it's like it's hard to find that fine balance. Even that Netflix show that, the one he just got the renewal for the second season. It's like the Blackish spinoff.
Yes. Black AF.
Yeah. Like that show. It's like, yo, you work so hard. You work so hard because you want your kids, like you said, not to experience or to have the things all you didn't want. But it's like, damn, I realize his kids, they know how to shake hands, to dap each other up. Like, and it's like, damn, I failed. Like, you gotta know how to dap your folks up. But it's like what you're doing now, though, you're setting the bar. So I just think it's like, still keep doing it, but then also, like, yo, don't forget them people. Like, you need Cousin Pete. You gotta hang out with Big Chris and all of them,
Right.
But you gotta learn to keep your distance, per se. And, like, I don't know if you read the new 50 Cent book.
I did not.
So the new book is really, really dope.
Okay.
Low plug for 50, but he's like, yo, the reason why I feel like I'm successful is because I knew how to keep my day ones around, but I also knew how to set the tone with my day ones so that they didn't damage what I was trying to do. And all of them know, like, yo, if you do what you do, that ain't me. It ain't my job to bail you out just because I got money. You on your own when you don't follow the blueprint that we trying to set.
No, facts. That's real. And at the same time, you also sometimes outgrow people too. Like, I have my same friend group. Well, a few of my friend group from my high school friend group, but we literally, like, if I come across something and I'm learning it, I'm doing this. Literally, my best friend got 3 houses. There is absolutely no way I should be in real estate and not be able to put my friends on.
Right.
So she got 3. We in Baltimore as well. And I probably got altogether, including her 3, a total of 9 properties for other people. The name of the game. So when all of this stuff start happening in my mind, I'm like, we keep talking about, oh my God, the looting, the this, that, and the third, the Black community. What community do we have? You might be a homeowner. That's fine and dandy.
Right.
But guess what? Somebody who look like you don't own that whole block.
Right.
We're outnumbered when it comes down to stuff. You might have a business, and your business is where? In a white community. Even if that's the neighborhood, the white people own that community. Or the Arabs or whoever it is. But they're not African American.
Right. So it's like, yo, as you learn this, you got to keep putting your folks on so we can get more to have something to go to fight with.
Yes. So when we build that community, we can control that community, and people don't destroy what they help build.
True. So let's jump into the part about where owning that community to now how you own how many lots, and you're able to build 4, but you could put how many properties on there?
I can put up to, if I wanted to do single family homes, I could do 35. Build 35 houses. On that.
That's enough houses for Cousin Pete and all of them.
All of them. This is the other thing. I tell you again, people don't destroy what they help build. I also grew up in a food desert. Like, you know, we didn't have fresh produce. You know, we had a Thriftway or a Save-A-Lot. But there was McDonald's, Checkers, KFC, all that, you know, in their neighborhood, in the area. There was
Crown Fried Chicken.
Exactly. There was no other, or Chinese stores, you know, there was no other option. So at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, cool. What I need to do, all right, I wanna have my own block, both sides. And I literally put this on my Instagram February 22nd. I bought the block April 16th. And this is the other thing. So I talk to a lot of people, and they say, well, hey, Coco, I want to buy the block too, or I want to buy a house. I want to do this. I want to do that. But my LLC is so young. Well, my oldest LLC is 8 months. I did this in an LLC, you know, less than a year. So, you know, when we talk about, it's literally everybody get around all these, you know, guidelines. The other people get around those guidelines. All you got to do is
when you know, you know.
When you know, you know. And when you don't know, you don't know. I'm telling you. And so I did all the things I needed to do. I'm like, look, man, I need multiple streams of income. This is how you become a millionaire. I want to be a billionaire. I want to be a trillionaire. I'm going to make that happen for me.
Look, and this is how you hit the 30 countries multiple times, because the money, the bag is still running.
The bag is still running, right? And so my traveling came from me being, you know, growing up. It's crazy because when the areas in which we grow up in and all of that type of stuff, I never dreamed. My wildest dream was going to Disney World. It was never to World. So as a child, I'm like, okay, I just want to go to Disney. That's it. Nobody else in my neighborhood or in my family was traveling.
Right.
That's crazy. But I applied for my passport while I was in college. And then I would be looking up flights or criminal cases 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning when I was in college. And it went from there. Once I was like, oh my God, I just get stamp after stamp after stamp after stamp.
Right.
And it became something different once I became an educator, because now I was bringing back, though I taught reading intervention. So I worked with, at the time, I was working with students who wasn't reading on grade level.
Right.
But that's more than half of the United States of America, honestly. So even when it comes down to Philly, it's not specifically one particular school or whatever. It don't matter what school you at. You know, in order to the world, you are considered illiterate if you're not reading on a 5th grade reading level.
Okay.
And so my students, all of them, some of them were on 5th or above, but whatever. So it was basically, I had to teach science, I had to teach and social studies. So I'm like, all right, cool. Every time I was traveling for my own experience, but I was traveling for my students too. Because I'm telling you, you have to hit the students different. And I'm young. I was 22 when I got in the classroom. I'm like, I'm not about to pick up this textbook or just teach to a black school.
Read chapter 12
Yeah, nah, we ain't doing this. I literally, and I put this on my Instagram a couple weeks ago. One of my best lessons was a Meek Mill's lesson, one of his songs. And I'm telling you, it was 6 literary devices the kids had to find. They found it all in the song. They was able to master the what is that called? The objective and the standardized test. Like
Okay.
it was amazing when you are literally involved. And that's another thing, because a lot of people say, oh, Coco, you love the hood, you love the hood, you love the hood. Yeah, because the hood made me. And
Right.
at the end of the day, me growing up, I didn't live on a block with my teachers. I live on a block with 10 kids to live down the street, and that's one family, but I taught 4 of them. So a total of 6 families on my block I taught. So
Right.
they can walk down the street and give me their homework.
Right. Hey,
They
Miss Coco.
all
Right.
my phone. Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's just on my block. All of them live in the neighborhood, so it's nothing but we need, like, when you hear that saying, it takes a village to raise a child, it really does.
Right.
I used to pick up my students on the way to work, and they like, well, you can't listen. I mean, just do what y'all gotta do then, because they need to be here.
Right. 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 And if I gotta help
And
them get to school, because a lot of them need that. And after I wasn't teaching, I did truancy. And you'd be
yeah,
like, well, how y'all don't, none of, like, you miss how many days of school? It's only been 60 days of school, and you already, well, my mom don't wake up because whatever she got going on, or I got to take my brother to school. So Miss Coco said, nah, I'm out here on my way. Let's go, you, and you. I know y'all in there. You know I'm coming to get y'all.
you know where to meet me at. Right? Oh, you on Broad Diamond? You on Broad and Park? You on Broad area? I'm
Right.
coming down the street.
Meet you at the corner store. No excuse.
Not at all.
Let's
Literally.
go.
And so the families loved it. Like, they felt like their kid was safe. It wasn't anything that they had to worry about.
Right,
And
right, right.
honestly, the other thing, because the violence is crazy, and that's going on, and not only just the city, but just in the world in general. And it's the young people. And when I say it's the young people, they're literally between the ages of like 13 to 18. That's insane to me. And so you got to think about it like this. The school that I teach at, kids from, it don't matter what part of the city they live in, they can go to that school.
Right.
And so if your block got beef with this block, or your cousin, or
It's
whoever,
going down at school.
I know kids who dropped out because guess what? I can't go to that school.
Right.
Because of the neighborhood, and because what's going on in West Philly and North Philly, like, it's insane. So if I can be that person that's going to help you get from A to B or A to Z,
I'm going to do that.
That's my job.
I hear that. No, and that's amazing. And then I even segue that back into with the lots, the fact that if you build that community, and now it's like, yo, you are, whether you rent it out or flip the houses, but it's like, all right, I'm doing something special just for teachers, so the teachers can live, or like as you said, I think it's close to the hospital, or the hospital workers. Now they can literally walk to work, raise their kids in the community, work in the community. It's all support coming back into the community now. So now we talk about self-preservation, community growth. You got doctors, teachers, health, wellness, all of that stuff all in one pocket right there that you created.
Exactly. On top of the fact that a lot of the properties that I have currently, they're actually for college students.
Okay.
And so this is the other thing, because I knew how expensive it was for me to go to school. And had I not became a resident assistant, RA, work in the dorms, then how was I about to pay for one?
Get that free room and board. Right.
All that. How was I about to pay for that? So, and a lot of kids don't go to college because guess what? They can't afford room and board, or they can't afford
the commute. Right.
Commute. So why pay $20,000 for room and board when you could be paying 10 or even 8,000?
Right, whatever it is, but all you got to do is put yourself in position, like we talked about. So I was a RA my sophomore year all the way through till I graduated. I did it so I could get my own room, because in our dorms we had to share rooms and get the free room and board. So I'm definitely all about that. Best time of my life. Now I'm the man walking around campus with the badge, and I got the key to all the spots. What you need, And I was selling CDs and DVDs. The internet wasn't popping like that. It ain't have all these apps. So I had all the CD connects on campus. I get you in the dorm because I got the key. I'm the RA.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, man. And that's the other thing. I needed money when I was in college too. I worked on a homecoming committee. I met and literally would talk to all of my professors. I would literally talk to everybody in financial aid. So when it came down, when I left Clark Atlanta, I left with $28,000 in loans.
Okay.
And bro, I honestly didn't even have to owe that. Like, I made the connections with all the people I needed to make the connections with.
Right.
And one year I think I needed 10,000, and next year I probably needed 3 or 4,000, and they straight gave it to me.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And I love it how, like, yo, you always find a way, you figure it out. And like even now with you finding a way. So what's the plan for the lots? Like how do we get the Coco community off the ground? What we got to do?
So getting the Coco community off the ground, literally, I'm actually putting stuff together right now so I can, meet and present to investors. But I want everybody to have a chance and an opportunity to, invest and do whatever it is that they can do. So experienced investors, of course, those numbers will look differently. But I'm not sure if any of you know and or follow. I'm sure you do. Jay Morrison. So he did some crowdfunding.
The Tesla.
As well.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm interested in doing, because one, it means a lot, right? Like, yeah, I have this land, but now, how can I'm not a millionaire yet. I'm not a billionaire yet. So it's definitely a process, and it's a lot of things that I need to do, but yes, to the investors for me.
See, you said ask. Look, ask. I'm telling you. You about to run it. Just don't forget my 10% though. I'm on here with you.
Look, no, listen. I got you. You already know. I'm like, wait, what? Oh, you need to do this.
Right. We getting it in motion.
So as of right now, I'm literally getting the paperwork together. I have some meetings to meet with some architects, to meet with some lawyers, to meet with a lot of people, to make sure that we can go ahead and get everything right the right way.
Okay.
Because what I don't want to happen, when you are in a position like this, you become, a competitor. And I'm young, I'm Black, I'm a woman, all of that. And I'm playing in a different world right now.
Right.
And so those people don't like stuff like that, because who are you? They don't like stuff like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
So for me, even though it wasn't difficult for me to get where I am, I'm not worried about that. If anything, I love a test.
Okay. And
that motivates and pushes me even more, because I know I can do it, and I will.
Right.
So literally I need investors. I need investors so we can start working on this ASAP.
So I don't know if you have an attorney yet, but I have an attorney who I've been working with, and he's pretty good, and he's also Black male from West Philadelphia. So I could definitely connect you with him to, even if you got people, maybe have him check, cross-reference stuff.
Yeah, I love the network.
And he's also all about the investment. That's how me and him got connected, because he's been investing passively in my projects.
Yes, amazing. Yes, DJ investors. I'm actually going to reach out to you too.
I'm telling you, it's like 4 or 5 people right now that's like, oh, what we got to do. So, definitely when we get off of this, Coco, what is your IG for the people that want to get with you and connect about some of these programs with you?
Yep. So my business Instagram is RCO Property Group. And then this Coco 517 is my personal Instagram, so I can actually type it here, and then you can pin it.
Oh, that's the big homie DJ right there.
Yes, that's DJ high school together.
Oh, okay, all right, Mr. Get Buckets.
Right.
Yes. So I was gonna also say, but for the people who just have an interest in that, want to get in this realm, in this mix, you have classes as well.
Yes.
So you got to share with them about the classes.
Right. And so it's called the Foundation Series. And so I had the live classes already, which they're still available, pre-recorded, and then any additional questions that may have not been answered in the classes, whoever purchased them can reach out to me. And so I had to put this series together because I got so many people asking me questions. How did you do this? Oh my God, I had an LLC for 10 years and I didn't do anything with it. I'm a hairdresser, or I just want to buy an event space, or man, I'm just trying to make some money. How do I flip this? How do I do that? Are you a realtor? How do you get business credit? Well, what about my person? So many questions, that people had brought to me. So I was like, all right, what can I do to literally give them a step-by-step guide to get them to the end goal, which is to purchase an investment property. So literally the first thing was starting off with their credit. The second thing was understanding your LLC and importance of it. The third thing was building business and personal credit. And that's the other thing. A lot of people say, oh my God, well, or the issue that we run into is funding half the time. So it's super easy to get an LLC. Cool. You can jump into real estate at any point. At level. You can be a wholesaler. You can do tax liens. Like it's so many avenues. Right. And so many people don't know where to start. They just want to make money. So I'm like, look, which I'm also putting together a tax lien course too. Some information I've been tapped into, and I honestly sat on it, and now it's time for that. But
I saw the post on that about buying those properties for $200.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But go ahead, finish what you're talking about the course, because I want to.
The courses, I definitely, put a whole series together, which each course is at max 2 hours, where I literally run down everything. And so when I say I run down everything, anybody who took the courses, please jump on in the comments, say something. I don't know, because I'm a teacher first. And so for me, it's not necessarily, I've spent so much money educating myself in real estate. And what I find a lot of times that I really don't like, and I just have to be honest, is that they'll give you step A, B, but they won't give you C, D, E, but they'll give you Z.
After you pay the $10,000 to get to the next step. But I just gave you $1,000. I just gave you $1,000.
Yeah. And literally somebody was charging me $10,000 and I was like, wait, I'm not even walking away with the property.
So I'm gonna just say to you, don't get mad at that. That is a part. It doesn't have to be part of the process. However, right, it is part of the game, because I have done the coaching, I've paid for certain things, and it's like I feel like I'm missing something. Absolutely. I feel like I'm missing something, but now that's why I tell people yo, you can't be mad. I'm not charging you $10,000. I ain't even charging you $1,000, but this is my fee to help get you to here, because I've also lost money doing different deals. Woo. And I'm not taxing you for the losses. Right. I'm just trying to help you avoid the losses, and that's what you're investing in.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you even said that, because some people say, oh my God, I can't believe this costs this much and that costs that much. And I'm like, listen, I owe $90,000 because I went and got my master's at Drexel in student loans. Now, I'm not trying to get anybody to pay back my student loans. I'm not even trying to pay back my student loans. Let's start there. But I'm saying all this to say is that I paid $90,000 for education, and none of that taught me about the business that I'm doing now. Right. None of it taught me about real estate. So in the event that I ever decided to have a kid, I'm never pressuring my kid to go to college, because at the end of the day, college is a business too. It's a business. So, and then you graduate and you don't even make, it just don't make sense. How much money?
So the goal, I know for me, my goal is not to pressure them to go to college, because I think that's coming from the generation before. It's oh, get a job, go to college, you get a good job. Yeah. That don't work so well. But however, if I got these investments now, you got the choice to go travel the world for 12 months before you go to college. You got the properties to pay for college, so we not stressing you while you in college. You can actually have the experience and get your education, with a free spirit. But them 32 properties right there, they gonna get you through college, your cousin through college, and your brother through college, because we got it for you.
Exactly.
You just need to do the work though, so I don't pull that check back.
Right. No, see, I'm talking about something different. But when you have that money means it, and that's the other thing too. It's always about the experiences. Excuse me, because money don't do it. Right. I would give now my graduate school experience. I'm like, what? I had no ties to Drexel University, no, disrespect, but right. What I and just was able to see at Clark Atlanta University, I mean, the things that happen at HBCUs, I feel like I came out like, I don't know, just of course a total different person, but I was like the blackest of the black, like on some Malcolm X, Angela Davis, like that's what my HBCU experience gave me.
That's dope. That's dope.
Like, I didn't feel bad about, being an only black woman walking into any business. Like, I walk in with my head up. I mean,
like, yo, I'm in here. I'm in here.
And I speak. Hello, how you doing? Because she has arrived.
Right.
Yeah, and so, I mean, now, moving forward, because somebody also asked me, you are a teacher. What does that look like? Now you are in real estate and doing all the things that you're doing. What does that look like? Well, right now I'm also trying to put together a curriculum for my kids. So on Wednesdays, so I teach at Mastery Charter Schools, and so on Wednesdays that's their half day. But so on those half days, you usually don't get to see all of your kids, like all of your classes, and the days are short. And so I always taught financial literacy on Wednesdays. Like, my kids gonna learn about credit. Y'all going, we working out my deals right here on the board.
Right, bank statements, all of that.
All that. Like, listen, run the numbers, because I need this, that, and the third. How much is what is the ARV?
Right.
What is that?
And so you can learn that right in your own backyard, because exactly. Grandma not doing nothing with her house. Grandma can make a move for y'all.
Yeah.
How
can we be so angry? Okay, cool. You want to, I don't know, just get it all out. Cool. You want to do a demo job? You want to do a business for demolition? Like, what's up? How can we? I said, I tell my kids all the time, how much money I spent on people cleaning out my house, just taking out the trash? Are you serious?
Right. The demo people, look, it's so many people that's getting a check off of the stuff that you don't even realize. I'm
like, yo, you know how much money you can make? You talking about so-and-so on a corner with a chain. I said, look, all the drug dealers I know either dead or in jail, or they still out there. Right. I'm 27 now. Y'all was on the corner when I was 2. But he got a chain. He's still on the same block.
Right.
It don't make sense.
Right. He looked good, but you ain't doing the math. The math ain't adding up.
It's just not adding up. Your life is on the line. You're risking your life each and every day.
Right.
Oh.
So, for the people that do want to take your class, though, so do you know when you're starting the next series?
Yeah, so I actually don't have a date for the next series. I do post and put all of that information out. But for the foundation series, if you want to do auction training, if you want to spend a day with me in Baltimore, that's called Layout of the Land. So it's definitely a lot of experiences. If you want me to be your mentor and literally walk you through the step-by-step process of all of these things. But Baltimore Layout of the Land is literally, I focus on 4 zip codes. And so we go to those zip codes and and understand why you should be invested in this particular. In
one of them 4 zip codes, right?
Yeah. What it has to offer, because I'm in communication with the city, so I know what they're doing, what the plan is. And so I'll share this with y'all too. They are putting a train in that's going to go through Baltimore, DC, Philly, and New York, literally within 2 hours. So if you live in Baltimore and you want to work and you work in DC, you get in there in 20 minutes. And so if you know anything about DC, it costs to live in DC. And so if you want to live in Baltimore and work in Philly, or live in Baltimore and work in New York, you get into work in an hour.
Right.
So that's another thing. So and that's happening in those same communities that I'm talking about, which is the hood. I don't understand why we say to one another, or making it out the hood, I tell it to my students, is a mindset. I made it out the hood, bought the hood, live in the hood. Now what? Right. But people need to see, they need to see that.
They need to see winners and leaders in their own neighborhood.
Exactly. You made it out. Now you got all this land. Nobody even knows who you are or whatever. How are you in touch? How are you engaged with the people? Right. And this is no shade to anybody who, decided to take that route for a variety of reasons. Maybe they have family or whatever it is. For me, I'm just like, look, I know what I needed to see. When mentors or motivational speakers would come to speak to me in high school, I would literally be sitting there because I can't relate to them. In my mind, you got lucky and you made it out. So that wasn't my reality. I can't see you every day.
Right.
When I walk out of school or I'm in school, I'm hearing gunshots. When I'm leaving out my house, I'm walking past crack pipes. Like, my mom overdosed in front of me and my sister when I was 10 years old.
Sorry to hear that.
When you see those people who, motivational speakers, and they're like, look, I did this and I'm 45. I was 10, 11, 12 years old at the time. That means nothing because I can't relate to you.
Right.
And even if you are Black and you look like me, in my mind, you was the lucky one that made it out. So if you're not able to see that on a daily basis and literally have a relationship, a genuine relationship with those people,
right.
There's no way, how are you inspiring and motivating everybody? Because we can get on social media, right? But guess what? My students follow me. Right. So they see what I post. They also know me. But everybody's don't have the same following. I would never see half the things that my students see on their timeline because who they follow.
Right.
So social media plays a part, but I mean, it's more bad being promoted out there than good.
Right. No,
so,
I definitely respect that. I definitely respect that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's it. Once everybody had that mindset, it won't be no more crabs in a barrel, right? It won't be that. And again, I always say people don't destroy what they help build. So I used to litter when I was in I stopped littering when I was in 10th grade. I stopped saying the N-word when I was in my second year of college. I stopped cursing. I just stopped doing a lot of things because that's not, I want to be a better person.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, I just want to be a better person. And for real, you limit yourself when you only know those words and those things. That's it. You can't even have a relationship with anybody, or have an effective conversation without saying certain words. And I'm like, that can't be me. And you definitely don't have to. What's that called? You don't have to read the dictionary. Just be around different people.
Right. So, but I think that goes to you as a person and your what's the word? Your not uniqueness, but your specialness. There you go. Yeah. Your specialness that light bulb went off and you were like, yo, I'm okay with not being the norm. I am okay with being the leader and the example, and hopefully I can lead my people or at least someone, because I think that's also the struggle when you want to reach back. It's like, yo, y'all ain't listening. I'm telling y'all, and y'all ain't listening. But it's like, yo, I gotta remember, like, all right, I might not be able to help all of y'all, but if I can help 2, 3 of y'all at a time, it's a process. And that's the other thing to also touch on, as far as you're like, look, and I'm doing it, but I'm not leaving. Now y'all can reach out, see me, and touch me. You a regular person just like everybody else.
Seriously.
And you still around here doing your thing.
Exactly.
So don't kill me. I got another question. Like, I wrote all my questions down to make sure I got them. So, because people was asking me, like, yo, we want to know this, we want to know that. So what would you say has been the most rewarding for you during your process, during this journey?
The most rewarding is literally, there go one of my students. A couple of my here, by the way, first of all. They
in here blowing you up. The Miss Coco and they in here showing you love.
Listen, so the most rewarding piece is when I get like text messages or emails, or even messages on Instagram, like, oh my God, look what I did today. I applied for this, or I did this and I did that because you told me to do step by step, blah, 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 blah. So when I get that, I'm like, oh my God, like, it makes me feel good. And it makes me feel like what I'm doing, I'm definitely doing it for a reason. And I don't know, it's literally like a spark. It's like the battery in my back to keep me going. Because now I feel like if anybody ever felt like they didn't have a purpose, I now found mine. Like, I know my purpose is to
why
help
you get up every day.
Exactly, right? So I literally lost my brother, and one of my students, I called every day. And so even the day, the next day after he had, got killed, I didn't go to work. But I still called her at 7:00, like, hey, you need to get up. And she was just like, all right, then text me like, you telling me to get up, but you're not here. It don't, at the end of the day, the world don't stop, life don't stop. And I made a commitment to my kids. No, I couldn't be in school because of the situation. But at the end of the day, like,